Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning to the drive time session with Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. And we've got Lakhi Singh this morning. I think he's still out or in or on mute or something like that. So today's discussion is, can you see the interest rate one might be somewhere a bit awkward, I think. And obviously, the saying of the week is day one or one day. You decide. Lakhi Singh, morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? Good. Yeah, have you got your mic sorted out, Lakhi Singh?
Yeah, my mic's fine now. To close
Excellent.
The door is a bit noisy.
Excellent. Right. Okay. So yeah. So is it day one or one day you decide? Your understanding of that, obviously, and then will interest rates be affected in 2021 bridging, Lakhi? That's the question for today as well. Underlying theme as well for this week on negative equity and commercial lending. As usual, we have property fixer to give us his input on the market, the fixer. And obviously, we've had interesting guests on this week. Had a very interesting Mr. Jamie on yesterday, who was an inspiration, I think, to all of us in terms of mind over matter and the ability for people to continue their lives in whatever God has given them. And I think there's a saying, a healthy body is a healthy mind. I would say a healthy mind is definitely a healthy body, and turns that saying around a bit, I think. Do you think, what's the weather like?
I think there's another saying as well, which is a healthy gut is a healthy mind, and then it's a healthy body, because what you eat is what you are.
Okay, so you say a healthy gut is a healthy mind. Excellent. A good add to that saying. So the gut and the mind, if they're in sync, if you've got all that poo up in your head, you're saying it will make a lot of difference.
Well, if you've got toxicity sitting in your stomach because you're eating the wrong types of foods, they're affecting your moods, they're affecting your psychology, they're affecting your, let's just say, your abilities, then technically everything starts from the gut. So if you're having things because you were brought up with them culturally, because they're in your culture to be eating XYZ food, but the reality may be that having lamb chops every day has lots of cholesterol.
Turns you into a lamb.
It may have a lot of, let's just say, fats which aren't really good for your body. So, and I think they're also carcinogenic, certain types of meat. So you just have to be careful what you're eating, because it does actually impact your well-being. A lot of people, if they can't control the, let's just say, the beginning part of the process, then how they can control the end part of the process, which is their decision-making.
Agreed. So what you're saying is, if you end up thinking from your colon, then you're going to think a lot of crap. Yeah?
Pretty much. That's quite a good, simple way of putting it. Garbage in, garbage out. You can use other more vulgar words for saying that. But let's just say garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
But
Okay.
that's actually physically you're not going to feel good, and it becomes a negative cycle of toxicity. So if you're not eating well, then you're not going to think well. You're not going to act well, and it's going to be difficult to be godly as well. Yeah.
What do you regard as eating well, though, Lakhi? Let's suppose, I mean, we've got the saying, day one or one day, you decide. The point is, if we take that in principle of what you're saying a lot of people have they've got problems because of the way they eat. And what you're saying is what goes in your body is a reflection of who you are. For example, if you eat lots of carrots, you're going to be like a rabbit, and you're going to have lots of babies, and you're going to be jumping around. Yeah. And if you ate lots of raw meat, like a lamb, without cooking it, you're going to turn out to be a lion. So what would you rather be, a rabbit or a lion?
Well, I think we're not really talking about your personal psychology around food. I think for the wider audiences, it's important that they realize that if you're looking to change and you want to optimize your health with COVID-19 and optimize your finances, you're going to start from the very, very basics. You almost have to go back to your meditation, your prayers, every single morsel of food that you eat, really understanding really what it means for your body. But on the whole, let's just say eating healthy, drinking healthy, not having toxic things going into your bloodstream. So you may not really, in reality, a lot of people may not need to do much to be able to be at their peak in terms of performance. So if you're eating really healthy, you're going to have a very clear mind. And so one of the things I've personally decided to do, I should probably put it up as a challenge. I'm actually need to be doing these, is that I've gone on a sort of a half vegetarian, non-processed and sort of non-sugar type diet. Although
Excellent.
I'm having things if I go to people's houses. Sorry?
So you're eating muffins as well in that diet? Like a muffin?
I'm trying to have as minimizing my sugar intake. But if I feel like having a muffin, I will have it. I won't deny myself because that's what I'm used to. But I'm trying to wean myself off, let's just say, unnecessary foods, which have no real advantage for your body, but they actually suck away a lot of the goodness that your body has. So I'm trying to I'm trying to optimize my diet. So that's actually a bigger challenge than business itself.
Excellent. You mean refraining from foods you are addicted to? And I think a lot of the foods that we eat have been designed to be addictive because they have such ingredients like salt in them. And that has an addictive effect. And remember, this salt is not healthy salt, and there's two types of salts. Healthy salt is rock salt that has come from millions of years of pressurized containment, whereas the iodinized salt that's manufactured is basically pure chemical salt that 99.9% of the population use, and happens to be one of the underlying factors of a lot of the illnesses. So what you're saying is you're changing your diet to change your mindset. How does that sink in with business? So let's suppose you eat, what are you eating now then, Lakhi, that you weren't eating before?
So I've stopped eating crisps altogether for the last 2 weeks.
This morning?
Because I used to have about 2 or 3 packets a day, like a chain.
During the lockdown,
chain
or was
sort
that,
of. Sorry?
Was that during lockdown? Has this been your routine during lockdown, or is this routine your normal routine that you have 2 or 3 packets of crisps every hour?
Not every hour, every day.
Okay, every day, right? Okay.
So I think it probably wasn't as excessive as that pre-lockdown. Maybe it was 1 or 2. But during lockdown, it's probably 2 and 3 because you got a bit more time on your hands. You've got easy access to lots of food in the cupboard.
Okay. Having
so cut down. I've gone down to 0.
So
I used to have 2 coffees a day.
2 coffees again. So you were
I used to have 2 coffees. I'm going down to.
Yes.
So I'm going down to maybe 1 or 2, but I have it with no milk.
You're running away with us, Lakhi Singh. Let's try to understand. So no more crisps. So you had 3 crisps going on a day. You've taken that back to no crisps.
That's right.
You were getting for coffee twice a day?
I used to have 2 a day, yeah.
Right. So twice for coffee a day. Now how many coffees do you have?
I'm trying to minimize it to 1, or even try to cut it out. I did actually manage to cut it out for about a year, 7 years ago.
Okay, you tried it 7 years ago.
I managed to cut it down to 0 for about a year.
Okay, 7 years ago, but that doesn't really mean anything now.
Yeah.
Okay, but you for coffee once, are you? Are you having one coffee?
I have coffee once a day now, ideally.
Okay.
Although I haven't been, I'm not necessarily being super strict about the regime. I'm sort of
keeping it flexible.
Slowly, I'm keeping it flexible because sometimes if I feel like having coffee, I'll have it. But then there's going to be a counter to that I've got to probably do a bit of extra gym work.
Okay, so you've got the fact of the matter is that you've stripped down the coffees, you've the crisps. So are these 2 the only 2 vices that you were intaking, or what else?
Sugars. So
sugar.
I'm trying to cut down to chocolate to 0. Maybe have dark chocolate from time to time.
Dark chocolate. Okay.
And
what chocolate were you having
brownies.
Otherwise?
Sorry?
What type of chocolate were you having? For the viewers to know, what type of chocolate were you eating?
I was mostly having chocolate brownies.
You were mostly eating chocolate brownies, right? Okay. So chocolate brownies, and what else? You cut them down, have you now? Are they out of the picture? Chocolate brownies?
So I'll have maybe 1 or
3 or 4?
1 or 2 in a week. But the idea is to cut them down to 0. And then, but what I tend to do is if I'm going out for like a fancy lunch in Mayfair, then I won't really put any restrictions. I would actually go back to what I normally eat, so I can actually probably try lots of foods. But I'll try. I'm not. I would only possibly aim to go out for a fancy lunch maybe once in a while, once every couple of weeks, rather than every day, which was the case before COVID-19. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you a question then? You cut these things out, or you're saying I'm trying to cut them out, but isn't that the weakness, the mental weakness? Because really, all of these things that you've mentioned, they are all processed foods. None of it is real food in terms of it's not carrots and lettuce and vegetables, things you should be eating, because you are basically just like a lizard or a rabbit or like a lion, because you should really just be eating raw foods. Are you now going to the basics with your meats? Are you eating it raw, or are you actually cooking it?
I'm trying to cut out processed food altogether. All these things are processed foods. So anything that's processed, I'm trying to avoid. But if I go to my mum's house or my brother's place, if he makes something that's he's made and I didn't have a choice in it, then I don't really complain about it. I'll eat it, even if it's processed. So, but basically I'm cutting it down from 80-20 to 20-80. Yeah.
Okay, 28. So 20% natural and 80% processed.
Opposite.
Okay, so 20% natural, 80% not natural.
80% natural, 20% processed is
okay,
the
so you're
counter.
80%
That's
natural.
actually the transition period, but the ideal scenario is to go down to sort of a super healthy. So
Super healthy.
So there's a TV program called Fit, Fat or Dead, where there's a gentleman.
Fit, fat or dead. Yep.
That's
okay.
right. With this gentleman, Australian gentleman, who's I think it's about 150 kg, travels from one side of America to the other, but he just does juicing only. So all he drinks is juice. There's just vegetables and fruit.
So is it a bit like the opposite of the other one? I forgot the name of the documentary where the gentleman goes around and starts from the East Coast to the West Coast and literally eats McDonald's only, just to show how unhealthy McDonald's are. Is that correct? Is that the same as? Is it the opposite?
I haven't had a feel of that one. I think there's a fat chance of anybody who's seen that one, to be honest. So what came out of it was that the guy lost about 60 kilograms, and he also had quite a lot of illnesses. He had those massive rashes on his body that he couldn't get rid of, and he had to take medication. So he came off every single piece of medication that he was on in that 60 days. And within the first about 3-4 weeks, he lost about 10 or 20 kilograms quite easily. And then I think he inspired a lot of people that were in the local communities to do the same. And then it became a bit of a phenomena, and a lot of other people started taking on the practice. So just to make it clear, the 60-day juice-only diet was meant to be like a detox for 60 days. So it did go back to sort of somewhat normal food, but then he cut out lots of carcinogenics and let's just say anything that's going to be processed or produces high level of cholesterol. So I think it's important that we discuss this.
I'm going to ask you a question. I know what you're talking about. And look, we're all. I think everybody has some matter to do with health. I mean, we've got good morning to Sonia, Sajil, Amar, and anybody else? 3 hellos already. They're listening in on your diet plan this morning, and obviously had a bit of information about your gut and its condition. So the question is simple. I understand, and I can understand what you're saying. And there are these super fat burning diets, and there's this lifestyle change, and et cetera, but surely the body has been designed to take all of these substances and convert them into energy and into something that has benefit. Is it not more to do with lack of exercise and a sedentary life than the actual food itself? Is that not part of the problem? If you were doing, say, about a 20-mile walk or the equivalent of that every day in your daily life, i.e., there's a lots of people that you, I think, mentioned were clients who were from the farming community who were super healthy, and they're in the United Kingdom, so it's not like they weren't eating processed food, but they were living predominantly off the land, so they were forced to do lots of walking and lots of labor, tilling the soil, and effectively eating that which they were growing. So is it not really to do with the sedentary lifestyle as well? The fact that we're not out so much, even to go and do a bit of exercise becomes a big deal. We need to go to the gym. But really, our lifestyle is very lazy, maybe mentally straining, but it's physically very lazy. And that's what creates bad health. Not so much the diet, because all these things effectively do help us. They do give us energy. It's just that the amount of energy we take in is in balance with the amount of energy that we need to burn off. And that's why we become obese or we have other problems, illnesses. But what's more important? Is it diet or is it exercise?
I would say it's the simple analogy is that like anything, it's all about balance. So if you want to optimize how, let's take the car as an analogy. You want to optimize your car to make sure it's its best speed. If the tires are worn out and the engine's not tuned, and you're putting a lower grade oil in to the car, that's a perfect analogy for the body. I mean, if you're putting a higher grade oils in and you're using a higher grade engine oil as well, and you're regularly checking the oils as well in the car, as well as actually tuning the engine up and having regular servicing, so you're not you're not actually using old engine oil. Then not only that, if you've got brand new tires, and you've actually had the car tuned up using the specialist, your car is going to be in peak performance. So it's the same with the body. So put it this way, even if you had a really good body because you can eat everything you want because you're doing a lot of exercise, yeah, you're right, it's not really going to have an impact. But if you could eat all the right foods, can you imagine? You could you're going to need the right foods actually to do the Ironman challenge, which is a 100-mile run and 100-mile 200 bicycle and some ridiculous 20-mile swim or something. Yeah. Now you can't really, if you want to optimize yourself, I think then whatever I'm saying actually is relevant. But if you've got that sort of body, that sort of mind, then your business success, the chances of your business success are going to increase by a huge mark, is all I'm saying. So what I'm thinking is, I'm not thinking about trying to keep just to stay the same and just do okay. The question is that if you want to be amazing in every way, then you got to really be pushing at every level. Your exercise.
Let's take the diet then, and let's take the mindset then, and let's take the saying, day one or one day you decide. So I assume you're at day one, so you've decided to get on the path, and this is day one, not one day. So you're not taking one day at a time, you're saying day one. So this is the beginning of the change of, so what foods relate to which bit on the business mark? If there was a benchmark, for example, what is it that you're eating that allows you to be so sharp with your numbers, like in terms of your accounting abilities or your abilities to keep on top of financial management? What food do you eat that allows you to be so sharp?
Well, what happens is that you get a lot of pressures from different sides of the business, and eating healthier, having more energy, being more focused allows you to concentrate more, to listen better, and then focus more on potentially doing more micro tasks or admin tasks. I don't think anybody enjoys doing admin, but I definitely don't enjoy doing admin. So it's allowing me to be more grounded, to be more focused. So things that I don't really enjoy doing, I'm actually finding a little bit simpler to do now. So I don't really like to sit down more than for 2 or 3 hours and concentrate on something, because that's not something that I enjoy very much. So having a more balanced diet, drinking more water, improves the concentration, allows me to slow down, stop me to be sort of working on a sort of adrenaline mode or fight.
Are you talking about wet lunch type of liquid that you drink? Are you into? Are you talking about that, or are you talking about standard H2O type of drinks?
I don't know what you mean by wet lunch.
Well, obviously it means alcohol in the middle of the day. Are you taking lots of liquid in that sense, or are you sticking?
I don't drink, so it's difficult to take alcohol if you don't drink alcohol anyway.
All right. Okay, so you're clean in that sense. You've taken said no to alcohol. Yes.
Yeah, I don't drink. So.
Okay. So the point is, your healthy diet plan has made you a sharper tool. So which bit of the business?
No, I'm not.
Now,
I'm just saying it's in the right track, because it allows more focus and attention. I think being sedentary, being stuck at home with COVID-19, or having cabin fever, or whatever the overspill of COVID-19, or the implications of actually being bombarded by the media that we're in a pandemic and everybody's panicking. Nobody's, we're not going to have jobs, and all that can be quite overwhelming, especially if you're, let's just say, if you're really bought into all the media hype around what's going on. So breaking out of it, you have to create your own system of wellness. You can't really be sucking in all the negative energy around you and actually bring yourself down. So I think the most important thing out of anything is actually doing your morning ritual, making sure that you are protected from all the evil forces of the media and the government and the banks and people trying to get into your psyche. So I'm saying it's very critical to actually focus on these things, because without your psychological well-being, business means nothing. You can have all the money and the businesses you want in the world, but if you're dead, it's no good, is it?
Well, obviously, if you're dead, then you can't have all the money.
Well, if it's leads to your death, is all I'm saying, is that it's no good. So you really got to think about really the basics and do them well. So if you're not looking after your well-being, then if there's any stress in your life and you're panicking, jumping up and down at things and being aggravated about things, then what's the point of having a business in the first place? You may as well actually not be in business. No point.
Okay.
You can't handle the stress or the pressures of it because you're going to be reactive. Then don't get in if you can't actually keep up with the pace. Yeah.
That sounds very executive. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, important bit there. You can't keep.
So Vijay Sal, you better start listening to my message. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come round and have a word with you in a minute. Hey, what's your diet plan like anyway?
My diet plan.
Tell us about your diet plan. You obviously that's the turntables on Vijay Sal. What do you have for breakfast this morning, Vijay Sal? Are you having?
I have greasy omelets.
Egg on fried toast or something. Yeah.
I'm having greasy omelets, French toast, everything that's good for the energy and for the sedentary life.
Well, I know where all the bad jokes come from now. The bad yolks, shall I say? The
yolks, yes. Yes. Okay, Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. Now, today, obviously, giving people advice on how to fix their mental issues with good diet. So what do you eat then, Lakhi? What is it that you eat? What is it that reflects on your business making decisions? Are you eating anything that helps you take good business decisions? Are you eating something that allows you to be more agile in your marketing planning? What is it that is it the juices? What is it that's going to make it difficult and different for you? So something that the listeners can take back and start eating from now, so they can replicate you and become as successful as you are in Mayfair.
Well, I've got a massive list, so I think we could put it out on the group later in the comments section,
Excellent.
maybe.
Excellent. That'd be a good
I could
idea.
actually go on, but what I'll do is, out of my 500 favorites, I'll pull out maybe 5 or 10 things. Is that a good idea, you think? Or
Yeah.
you
5,
don't
10,
really want to bore
otherwise it'll
the
get really long.
listeners and
Yeah.
make them go to sleep?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one is one of the most effective things I found, which is really good for reducing stress, but it's not chemicals or not glaxo, it's not big pharma, is something called radiola extract, which is produced by a company called Solgar. And this is really excellent for if you've got sort of high blood pressure or you're feeling quite stressed all the time. So
excellent. Radiola
extract.
What do you call it? Extract. Is this like a silver content of some kind? Is that what gives you your superpowers?
So what it does is it's a sort of like a semi-relaxant. So it
You mean like a laxative?
No, it's more to help you feel relaxed, so you don't get stressed out too easily.
Okay.
So having 1 or 2 of those a day, the capsules that you can buy from any health shop, Holland & Barrett do them. There's a shop locally here in Harrow called Bodywise in Harrow in the Hill.
Okay, and these are sort of like mind control tablets, basically, yeah?
Yeah, they are in some ways, because they will
Excellent.
help you. If you're get stressed very quickly, they're really handy to just keep you calm, because you don't really want to be making decisions when you're tired or ineffective.
Excellent,
so
yeah.
They're really good.
So radiola complement, radiola liquid.
That's
tablets.
right. And there's another tablet or you can get them in powder form as well. Moringa. Moringa is like a leaf extract, I believe. It's from a plant. And that's actually got a lot of, I think some of these have got like 10 or 20 different ingredients in them, or let's say components in them, which are very, very good for health. And they have a very high rate of absorption into the body. So moringa has got the highest level of absorption in terms of minerals coming into your body than any other herb that's out there.
Excellent.
So I actually have a powder version of it, which I put into my porridge. And then I also have a capsule version of it. And at the moment, I'm having both, funny enough. So I think moringa is a really good one. Which ones?
So radiola, moringa, 2 things to look out for. Anything else?
2 things to look for. Then there's also something called babao powder. Baobao powder. BAOBAO.
Bowels
It's
powder.
a sort of pinky powder.
Right.
That's got a lot of natural ingredients in it, which are really good for your health. So just having those 3 things alone are sort of mind-blowing.
Okay.
Then I spoke to somebody the other day who's saying they've got some problems in their gut. And obviously we're talking about the gut. If you've got a very good gut, then you've got more effective thinking.
Excellent.
So there's a
So the gut is relative to your thinking. So if you talk a lot of rubbish, you're normally got a loose bowel, have you?
Yeah, I think if you have some sort of health issue, then your psychology around your health. So if you've got back pain, or your psychological, your physical health, physical health
is reflective of your mental health.
Physical being and your gut combined impact the way that you think. So you imagine if you can change the way that you think based upon improving your health, both physically and with your gut, then you can optimize your position. So I'm quite blessed that I managed to realize that. But obviously, we're all conditioned to follow commerce and just eat lots of bad food that's meant to be, we're sort of told it's really good for us, like muffins.
Excellent.
Chocolate.
So you got muffin is one of your top lists of foods that you also consume with the moringa, yeah?
These are the ones that I'm saying are not good for you, just in case you didn't realize.
Okay, yeah. So we've got a new member, Imran Murtaza. Big shout out to Imran. Thank you for joining us. I think he's new to the group. Okay, could I ask you a question, Lakhi? All of these things, I think there's a battle going on, external battle and an internal battle going on with everybody during COVID. And I think whatever you're doing is a reflection of what people are doing in the business world with the external forces of market. So the market is a big bow, and it's got you going through its gut, and obviously you are like a little mucus, or like a little germ breaking down the food in the gut, and you're saying, if I've got better food in my tummy, I can break down the food better. So the food that I'm breaking down, that means business in the economic gut, then gets broken down and it comes out nice and supple as something that doesn't have any disease in it. So you're like a little germ inside the gut of business, trying to break down your little morsel of food. Is that a good good metaphor for your internal side dealing with the external side? You're a little germ stuck inside the gut, trying to digest food and business in your best possible way. Is that right?
I mean, you can put it in whatever terms you want, but the simple truth of it is the more you take care of your health, the better that you are in sync with your soul, your well-being, your prayers, your godliness. The better you're going to feel about yourself, and God's there to look after you. And then basically, if you're focused, you've got razor sharp focus, you're going to see opportunities, you're going to be creative, you're going to be able to problem solve, you're going to be able to deal with obstacles. So nothing's really going to be able to get in your way, because that extra focus, that extra 10, 20, 50% based upon you optimizing your health and your well-being psychologically, means that every day you're out there, you're going to be smashing it.
Excellent. We've got Stefano who's watching us on YouTube, I think, and big shout out to you, Stefano. And we also got Carolyn Williams, who says, Lakhi, you're a big gut. That makes sense. So big problem, and it's important to have a good gut. Right. Okay. How are you going to relate good health internally around you, your spiritual well-being, all that? How do you relate that to the external factors around you, Lakhi? And especially if you don't have any control, just pretend that you're in business and you're going through the gut of business, and the business gut doesn't have any muscles. You're basically just coming out the other side without any control. So what control can you create? Can you create control around your environment? If you're taking that example of your internal well-being, how are you going to create muscles on the intestine of business to be able to come out without just being loose dribble? How are you going to make yourself a solid morsel of business?
So rather than the environment creating you, if you're in your element, then you're going to be more in sync with really what to do. You know when to fight your battles and how you're going to win the war in terms of your particular business, because you're going to be more agile, more capable, more able to sort of see really what's happening in a strategic level, not just actually looking at the overspill of problems that are happening into your workplace and your business. So you're going to be able to see the wood for the trees more likely than not. The likelihood is that not everybody, even though you might be optimizing your health, not everybody's going to be seeing a potential tsunami of what's happening with COVID-19 and the overspill of it. So, but if you're aware of it, you're optimizing your own awareness. That's, I would say, is the first step in terms of ensuring that whatever does happen, you yourself, at a health level at least, are actually not going to fall foul to COVID-19, or going to minimize the risk of your health actually being implicated, first of all. Second of all, when it comes to business, like I said, if you're well prepared in terms of your health and wellness, you're going to be able to think out the box and say, okay, now how do we tackle this? You know, what team do I need? There's a recession that's happening. Should I be? You can be more real about things rather than live in hope. And hope can be a very, very dangerous thing.
Interesting comment that comes from Carolyn. Carolyn says, "Well, the food of knowledge, whatever you read, is sort of like a metaphor for what you eat in business or knowledge. Is that food itself, is it medicine? So if you start treating food as medicine, i.e. the food that you intake, and you're not taking separate supplements to give you that food, so your food is its medicine. That's it. That's a very interesting way of looking at food, the food itself. What about those people who go to business, someone's running a doner kebab shop and wants to turn their internal self around? How do they reconcile the fact that they're selling processed garbage, meat, to people? Do they stop selling it? Would you stop buying donor meat?
It's not for me to judge. If there's a demand and they can make money, it's a commercially led society. So again, you know, those sort of shops, they don't sell all food that's processed. They do also sell falafels and salads.
Yes.
So I actually often go to the doner kebab shop now and end up just getting 3 falafels with a massive salad. So
Excellent.
So I think that, you know, there's a service that they provide that is fit for purpose for a lot of people.
Excellent. Okay, so looking at the topic that we've got, the underlying topic, that is where do you see the bridging industry going with interest rates rising? Is it going to close down? Is it going to become even more fervent? What's going to happen on bridging? Do you see bridging becoming tighter, or do you see bridging opening up when the interest rates go up? Will they go up in terms of bridging costs?
I would say to you, yeah, bridging finance costs are going to go up very high, because what's going to happen is that anybody that's actually got deep pockets are going to be able to afford bridging to buy assets on the cheap, because the prices are falling. So, but anybody that's not got deep pockets, they're not going to be able to use their assets to leverage against. So, because the interest rates, if they're quite high, they're not going to be able to afford to be able to know how to exit or have the cash flow to do it. So if somebody's got cash now, got quite a lot of cash lying around, is sitting in the bank, they want to invest it, then now's a very good time over the next year or so is to structure their funding mechanism or acquisition strategy in a way that allows them to leverage. Yeah, but the cost of bridging is going up because a lot of bridges are now running to the hills because they've already over leveraged in the pre-COVID-19, and now a lot of them have been caught out, and half of them have shut shop because they're stuck in a lot of bridges that they can't afford to get out of, and they're trying to actually sell those assets, but what they're finding is a lot of those assets are in negative equity. But they don't really want to say that they're negative equity because it's such bad press. But the reality is negative equity and or negative cash flow, or what's happening is there's a lot of people that have bridged out with quite optimistic bridging companies who are lending quite high loan to value, up to maybe 75% or 80%. But now when it comes to selling those properties, they're finding that certain areas around the country, there aren't enough buyers that want to buy those sort of assets for those prices. So if something was selling for 200,000 a year ago, now it only may be selling for 150, but the debt may be 160. So they're only short by 10. So there's a huge sort of recalibration of the property market and the business market taking place this very minute. And anybody that's actually got cash available, like for deposits, you've got equity, they can go out and start purchasing. So I think what I understood today's question to me is that a bridging loan interest rates going up is the question I was given. But
that's right.
What's the actual question, or is it bridges?
I'm saying, do you see the bridging loan cost interest rate going up in 2021? And if they're going to go up, will that shrink the bridging market, or is it going to expand the bridge? Is it going to be more fluid market, or is it going to be
interest rates?
Yeah.
Okay. If interest rates go up, the bridging market probably have the opposite effect. The bridging market is going to get very busy because people won't be able to buy using traditional mechanism of term lending. There'll be a lot more cash purchasing. People will be buying in cash or buying and using bridging, be it that they're not going to be able to buy at such a high loan to value. But it will be the mechanism that they can use to purchase. And then they'll be using methods to possibly dissect some of the assets they've bought and either sell them off. So it's going to become a sort of trader's market. Anybody who's a property trader has 5 or 10 million sloshing around. They're going to be doing very well in this market because if they've got a very clear acquisition strategy, they're long in the tooth in the property business, and they've got good yielding assets, then balle balle, as they say in Punjabi.
Okay, right. So
Ching,
relating, ching ching ching. Yes. Okay, relating a good health one day or day one, your choice, and looking at where the market's going in terms of bridging, and realizing that there may be a lot of businesses out there, a lot of clients out there who've got bridge finance, trying to exit the bridge or trying to look for term lending when there's no term lending available. What's your best advice? What should they do? Should they make contact with Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, or should they continue with their present circumstances and wait for maybe an extension of their bridging terms? Will the bridging companies be somewhat, amenable to considering an extension? Will they be very rigid? Are they intent upon taking these assets back, or are the bridging companies being quite flexible because they want people to exit the bridges rather than get caught with a lot of assets that they can't offload?
It's a very delicate market, I would say, a bit like a flower, because whichever way you do it,
a bit like a daisy.
that's right. So whichever way you do it, oops, a daisy. Whichever way you do it, you've got to be very careful in terms of what strategy you're going to trying to roll out. So if you are in a bridge, then you should definitely come and talk to us, because if the lenders may not, if they've already extended a bridge for you once, they're unlikely to extend it again, which is what we're finding with a lot of clients. Secondly, the bridging company will also want to charge you fees or defaults, or could actually technically appoint receivers on the property if they find out that you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, if you're the borrower, you may think there's no way out, but we've got a lot of clever solutions to solve problems that you think are not there. For example, we do have lenders actually that will rebridge. We do have lenders that will also provide term lending on a cheaper rate.
Excellent.
I mean,
excellent.
Obviously, there will be preconditions that need to be met, and so we're very good at packaging up the situation and presenting them to lenders. But one of the fundamental things that's going to happen in this market, just so that everybody's aware, is that it's not going to be what you've got that's important. Obviously, what you've got up to a point is going to be important, because you're going to need some equity in your assets for somebody to take any interest in you. But if you're going to be like a serious player in the market and you want to grow, or you're looking to do longer term business, then it really is going to be about who you know. And that's one of the advantages of talking to Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, because I am actually, without overstating it, very integrated with pretty much all the lenders. So it's more of a pick up the phone to a couple of mates, because all matey at a certain level. So I have been able to pull out quite a lot of clients that are very difficult situations with my team. So my expertise is relationships and knowing people and making moves, tap dancing, river dancing, and
so you're a bit of a river dancer, you Lakhi Singh. Are you a bit
this
of a
is
river
an analogy
dancer?
to say that I can tap dance and river dance, or break dance actually. So I'm able
like
to,
Michael Jackson, you're
I'm
saying.
able to talk to people at a certain level where they all know each other, but they're not going to really do anything for you if you're an unknown and you're not come through a sort of a private channel. So whatever level you think it is, whatever you think the market's like, you may be misguided, because if you think you've got a great portfolio, if you think you've got the ability to get lending, you may not get it from your traditional sources, because they won't have the connections. They're only working at a certain level. So they're really got to be talking to Lakhi Singh, the networker, the relationship guy. I don't normally market myself, but I know that I'm good at relationships and finding the right solutions. We've had quite a lot of complex cases come to us in the last about 2 years or so, even during Brexit. And I literally saved one client £50 million.
Excellent. So if there was a probability that you had to give an answer on, is it digesting a carrot or getting them a bridge? What's more probable?
It's quite a tough question. I'm not sure if I can answer that.
Okay. So
because the thing is that, like anything, I would say that I'd be confident in actually helping them to do both, to be healthy in mind and healthy in business. I wouldn't want to say that one's actually bigger than the other.
okay.
So the probability is that I can help them to optimize themselves in every way.
Excellent. So
how's that for an answer?
That's comprehensive, is as expected from Lakhi Singh, the property and business fixer, now a bit of a health guru as well. So carrots are definitely the way forward if you're looking for a bridge loan. Is that right?
Yep. So there's got to be a carrot in it for you to be talking to me.
Excellent. I like that. Well said, sir. You've given us a pun there as well. Okay, so we've got a future which is going to be somewhat uncertain with bridging, just like everything else, but there is definitely going to be a hot market out there for bridging, especially when the interest rates go up, because there won't be that many people who will be able to afford the lending rates and have the type of cash to exit on those type of loans. So what you're saying is excellent for a company wanting to take advantage of a difficult market, and bridging definitely will be the way forward if you want to rapid accelerate the amount of assets you take on, because traditional lending may take too long or may not even be available that fluently. Is that what you're saying, Lakhi Singh?
Yeah, pretty much. I think now is a really good time to actually get all your all your ducks lined up. And part of that process is having your power team, a fantastic accountant, fantastic solicitor, a fantastic let's just say a lending facility that allows you to know what your position is to optimize yourself. Because what's happening is it's a bit of a moving feast with the assets at the moment, because the lenders are reluctant to lend unless there's more than enough equity and you've got a strong personal guarantee. So even if you've got strong personal guarantee and you've got assets now, the lenders are still not always performing because they might be tight on cash, or they're reluctant in the commercial market, especially offices or retail or hospitality, which is now suffering because of COVID-19 and the lockdown second wave is still there. So there's a huge amount of uncertainty in the market. Now, what makes me more confident about what we can do to help is I've been dealing in the property problem market, fixing problems for the last 13, 14 years. And with the team that we've established, if we can't find you a solution, then I don't think anybody can.
Excellent. Lakhi Singh is a lone ranger when it comes to finding solutions. So you must pick the phone up, have a chat with him, and try and find a solution. So what it seems is the market is uncertain. Buy-to-let and bridging loans are going to become a bit more tighter, but if you've got the money, you can take advantage. And today we've had an insight into Lakhi Singh's gut, and the fact that the gut reflects his mind and his mind reflects his body. So really, gut, mind, and body is the formula. And an important key note from Caroline is food is medicine. Very important. Food is medicine. Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow. We've got the famous Mr. Ninder Singh Johar on, and we have him as a guest. Drive time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, sir. See you again. Thank you so much for listening.